Thank you for tuning in. We've got a good subject right now. It's animals. I love animals, Robin. I'm a big animal fan. Let's go to the zoo this weekend. You want to go to the zoo?
Okay, we'll go to the zoo.
Or maybe you don't like zoos.
I love zoos.
No, not you, but maybe Lisa doesn't, because
they have their purpose. There's some good ones, some bad ones.
Lisa Stoner is in the studio, and we were just talking about animals because that's what she does. She's the vice president and co-founder of Forest Animal Rescue by Peace River Refuge and Ranch. She's talking about the arrival of the red pandas at the Forest Animal Rescue. Oh, I read about this in the newspaper. Maybe that's where I recognize you from that article.
That very well could be.
Oh my gosh, these look cute too. I remember seeing the photographs of them. Well, so good morning, Lisa. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So where did they come from? The red pandas?
Well,
Are they really?
They're not here yet.
They're not here yet.
We've been working on it for 2 years, and we're in the final stages of getting them to the United States. So we're starting to raise awareness and help to raise money. We're in the middle of building an $80,000 enclosure.
Wow.
For them. So
I don't even have an $80,000 enclosure.
I know, neither do I. So, but our animals get them. So anyhow, the red pandas have been in a zoo in Argentina that closed. And it's been closed for a while now. And
oh, really?
Yeah, the Argentina government's been placing all of the animals that aren't native with other facilities, and they went through a exhaustive research, and
they found you.
They found us, and it's quite flattering.
How did that happen? I mean, did you get a phone call?
Well, we rescued a couple of cougars from Argentina from another zoo. Last year.
So they knew you.
Some of the people that were in the circles knew about us, and all of the research they did, they wound up, after everybody they reviewed, they selected us as the sanctuary. So,
how big is it? How big is the animal?
The animal, it's a little bigger than a house cat, like a raccoon.
That's big.
They look like a kind of a cross between a bear and a raccoon and a cat. They're fuzzy.
Are they panda-like, or is that just a misnomer?
They're called red pandas. The red pandas were discovered before the black and white pandas, so they're the original panda for the name, but the scientific family is different than the black and white panda. As a matter of fact, they have their own scientific family because there's nothing else like them.
Are they a couple? Is it a man,
it's a
boy
male and a
girl?
female, but they shouldn't breed. They're old enough that they're past breeding age. So.
Oh, okay.
How old are they?
Sketchy on the details because the government in Argentina hasn't kept good records, but we think about 13, 14.
Do they speak Spanish? Are they Spanish?
Well, when the pumas arrived at the sanctuary, they completely ignored us until we spoke Spanish to them. And then they realized that we were okay after all. So,
you had to learn Spanish for the animals?
So we spoke a little bit of broken Spanish to them until they realized we were okay. Then we went back to English, so we're still okay.
And they learned how to understand what you were saying now, right?
Yeah, well enough.
I mean, basically, what are you saying? Get away? I mean,
nah, we don't go in the enclosures with them, so we're just saying,
I love
hello, look at me, time to eat.
Well, that is so cool.
But I think they became very accomplished at the zoo that they were at, ignoring anyone who spoke English, because that was the tourists that were banging on the bars and poking at them. So if they learned that if they just didn't react, they didn't get harassed. So they ignored us. Well, they learned now that they're not being harassed at the sanctuary. We're not open to the public like that. So.
Oh my gosh! So how old will the pandas get before they pass away? What is their lifespan?
It's hard to say. I think they've lived up to 20 before, so they're definitely geriatric. They're at the top end of their lifespan.
Are we going to be able to see them? Are you guys open to the public?
We give guided tours by reservation only for up to 4 people at a time. So only maximum 8 people a month come through the sanctuary. So we're not open as an attraction.
How did you get into this? How did this happen for you?
Well, 20 years ago, my husband and I, we joke and say we both lost our minds at the same time. We sold our house and everything we owned to start the sanctuary.
Your $80,000 enclosure was gone.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Anyhow, we basically were both into rescuing animals, and we had other jobs, other businesses to make a living, and we just did animal rescue for free. And because we discovered years ago that there's no way to make money doing what we support. Not exploiting the animals and not breeding them or selling them or exhibiting them.
Right.
So we always volunteered to help the animals and just made money elsewhere. And so we basically got to the point where we were in the city in Hollywood, Florida, and it got a little overwhelming with people dropping off critters that needed rehabilitation and release. And,
oh, really?
And we started trying
Mostly pets?
Well, a lot of these were native wildlife at that time.
Okay.
And we were patching them up and turning them loose and all of this, but we didn't have a facility. We were in our house doing this. Well, then we ran across this guy that had a tourist attraction on a 1/4 of an acre on the Indian reservation, and he meant well. He wasn't breeding the animals, but he just kept taking more and kept taking more. He had like a quarter of an acre, and it was crazy. And
oh my gosh!
My business management and finance background, I offered to help him. But the golden rule was he had to start saying no and stop taking any more animals. And I would help him come up with a business plan where he could do better for the animals and, still make a living, but stop taking more and stop overcrowding. Anyhow, long story short, he did that. Everything worked out great for a while. Then he broke the rule and he took in a baby tiger. And he had nowhere to put the tiger.
What's the penalty for breaking a rule? That's a pretty big breaking the rule.
Well,
it's a tiger.
It was my rule. I mean, he was licensed. I mean, he was on the Indian reservation, so there wasn't much anybody was going to do, and he was licensed for the tiger. But he just didn't have space to put it. And so he wound up taking the tiger to his house and turned it loose in the pasture when his son accidentally let the horse out, and the horse kicked the tiger. And he called us and said, I know he's hurt really bad. I'm just going to shoot him. Well, the reason he called us is because he knew I'd say, don't shoot him. We'll pay to take him to the vet. So, we have sucker written on our foreheads. So
how much? Not how much was it? Did it cost?
It was $600 to patch him up.
Okay.
And which wasn't bad. That was really cheap.
That really wasn't my question, though. But thank you for saying that. But I was just trying to. I don't know what I was going to ask you. But so the horse kicked the tiger. How old was the tiger at the time?
The tiger was only a few months old. He only weighed 25 pounds.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
They're still cute at that time.
Oh, they're adorable. But
we had
a wicked bite.
We had a white tiger in the studio.
Yeah, we did.
Right? And we were told not to touch it because it was 41 pounds. If it was 39, we could have touched it.
Exactly.
That's a crazy rule.
Exactly. Well, what it is by the time they're 40 pounds or 6 months old, by the time they reach that age, it's illegal for people to handle them because they become dangerous. And they need to then be required to have an adult tiger-size enclosure and proper control and all of that. When they're cubs and they're under 6 months or under 40 pounds, they have different rules. So that was the rule that I exploited when that tiger cub was kicked by the horse. We took him in our house, and we had a cub permit to have him in our house until he was 40 pounds or 6 months old, so he hit the nail on the head. And I don't really agree with that law for a lot of various reasons. It doesn't provide for what's going to happen to them when they get over 40 pounds. People can have them without the ability to take care of them.
Yeah, right.
But I exploited that to be able to patch this guy up. And we told him we were going to give him back as soon as he was patched up. Luckily, he was back to health before he was 40 pounds. But that was kind of what motivated us to sell everything and start the sanctuary, because we gave him back, and we knew that if that tiger was going to be shot over a $600 vet bill, the guy was never going to be able to afford $5,000 a year in meat and an adult enclosure and all of that. So,
are you a vegetarian by chance?
Nope.
Just curious. We had a guest a couple of days ago. She wrote a book, and hers was The Gentle Barn or something like that.
Yes.
And she had, she started out with a goat or something.
Yeah, goat.
And so then little by little, her husband and her started to stop eating meat because, and in fact, they didn't even want any cats on the property because cats eat meat. You have no choice, right?
Yeah, it would be pretty hypocritical to say that carnivores are vegetarian. Doesn't necessarily.
How do you keep the regular wild animals out of the sanctuary where you're rehabilitating?
Well, we take our mission is to take in mostly non-native animals, non-releasable animals that are attempted pets or from roadside zoos: tigers, monkeys, bears, bats, wolves. We do rehab and release bear cubs for Florida Fish and Wildlife. But by law, the entire property is perimeter fenced with an 8-foot-tall fence. We actually have multiple layers of fencing.
Oh, okay. So the cougars and wild bears and everything can't come inside.
Right, and they could climb the fences, but then inside those fences are the enclosures, the big habitats where the permanent animals live. And those they're strong enough and tall enough, or have tops on them, depending on the species, to keep our animals in, so they'll also keep the other animals out.
Did you hear the story yesterday, I think it was, about the lady at the zoo in Jacksonville who was in the rhinoceros enclosure? And she's obviously a professional at this, and the rhino hit her with his horn, and she got injured. So, and I don't know the rest of the story. I just know she was taken to the hospital. And we were asking ourselves, why was she in there? And the reason, according to the article, was because sometimes they have to prepare them for medical purposes. Do you? I mean, you say you don't go into the enclosures, but how do you handle those kinds of needs?
Tranquilizers.
From the outside?
From the outside.
Oh, okay.
We have areas. We have shift areas where we call them into smaller areas, because like the bears, for example, are on 4 acres, and the tigers are an acre and a quarter. But every day for feeding, they come into a smaller area, and then they're separated into even smaller areas where we can lock them in, and that's where they're fed. They get their medication. Everybody gets their own special diet, and then they're turned back out again. Well, in those little spaces, that's where we can easily tranquilize them with a dart, and then we can get our hands on them to do whatever we need to do. So we do it safely. We don't go in the enclosure.
I have a question for you, and I should have asked this when we were at the Luby Bat Conservancy. Are you familiar with that place? Oh my gosh, it was so great. They invited us up there, and I guess they only do this once a year or something. But the bats were in an enclosure that may have been 10 feet tall. And I'm thinking, how do they fly in there? It doesn't seem like they would get any altitude.
The funny thing is, we actually have some bats from the Luby Center for Bat Conservation. They place them with us to free up a habitat so that they could do more of their valuable research. We very much support what Luby does with their
they're so
conservation
nice.
projects.
The guy we talked to was so knowledgeable, and his wife, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
you probably know them, right?
They're great people.
Yeah.
But anyhow, our bats are also in an enclosure that's not too high. But the reason why you don't want it so tall is if you need to get your hands on the bats, it's hard to catch them if they're way up there. So for husbandry and for veterinary care, you need them to be, the ceiling
What
needs
does
to be lower.
husbandry actually mean?
Husbandry means to take care of the animals properly with the veterinarian diet and everything that's involved.
We're just going to ask you every animal question we have.
Fine.
I have one of.
I may not know all the answers, but I can wing it.
There's a story in today's news about horseshoe crabs. Have you heard this story?
No.
The Florida Freshwater Fish Commission, whatever, wants us, Floridians, if we see mating horseshoe crabs, to let them know.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
They do great research.
And apparently what they need to know, because we read the article, because I said, well, where are they? Because they said when you would see them around the full moon, but they didn't say where. So, because I've been to the beach a lot. I've seen 2 in my lifetime. One in Key West and one in Brooklyn. And
they have them along the Gulf Coast, too.
Can you tell us where? Because I think that's what they want to know is where are they mating? Because they use this. I never knew this. They use something from the blood of it for vaccinations. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is amazing what they can do.
Wow. So where would I go to see the?
Just about, I think any of the coastline.
Any of it.
Yeah, pretty much any of the coastline you can.
Daytona Beach.
Well, I don't know about the Atlantic coast. But
Oh, the Gulf Coast would be more likely.
I think.
Okay.
I'm not positive, but I think Gulf Coast. That's where I've seen more.
When you have your areas, you said one area was 4 acres and another area was 1.5 acres. Do you have double fencing around each perimeter, or can the animals come like right up to each other? And
well, the animals, for example, like the bears are on 4 acres. The bears are all together in the 4 acres, so they have full contact with each other. But then there's 50 feet or something before the next enclosure.
Oh, so, I see.
So they're not up against the tigers.
Each other.
Right.
Yeah,
they're not up against the tigers or different species. But we have certain tigers that play well together and others that don't. So we have them in separate enclosures, so they have playmates that they get along with because they don't always necessarily get along together.
And they're not well enough where they can always be turned out. Some of them live there forever.
Well, the bears, for example, that we have, the reason why they're not released is because they were born in captivity, raised by people, declawed.
Oh, really?
No concept of.
That's why they have
would
to stay there.
immediately be a nuisance bear, and they wouldn't have what they need to survive properly in the wild. The wild bears that we take in from Florida Fish and Wildlife are for rehabilitation and release. And they just come in, they're, usually they're cubs. They're just raised up to the point where they're able to be released, then they're turned loose, and they have almost no human contact.
What happened? What's their story normally? Somebody killed their mom or something?
Usually they're orphans. Sometimes mom's hit by a car, sometimes mom was a nuisance bear and was put down. There's a lot of different reasons why the cubs would be orphaned when they're too young to be without mom.
There was a story, and I can't remember if it was Florida or not, but there was a deer, and it was just being a nuisance, as you say. And it turned out that it sounded like the deer had been a pet. It was a male deer.
Ooh,
and yeah, it was a pet. And so when it got to be too big, they let it into the wild, but now it was used to being playful with people. And of course, it's got these big, whatever.
Yeah, and an imprinted male deer can be very aggressive to people.
That's what they were saying. But does the deer feel aggressive, or is it just playful? Is he playing?
He it's hard to say. He could be playing, but he could also be viewing you as another buck that he wants to compete with you for females.
Oh my gosh.
So you don't necessarily want to be the
story of my life, Robin.
You don't want to be the recipient of that.
When you do your rehabilitation and then you let them go back into the wild, do you tag them so you can track them?
Florida Fish and Wildlife has the legal responsibility for making all of those determinations. If they're doing a research project, they'll tag them. But if they're not doing a research project, they always microchip or tattoo them so that they can be identified if they're caught again, but they can't necessarily be spotted from a distance with an ear tag or something.
Oh, I see.
The ones that are ear tagged usually were part of some research project, not necessarily that they were caught.
Do you know Connie Mann by chance?
Who is it?
Connie Mann. She's a
Mann.
captain at the Silver River Museum.
No, I haven't met
Oh
her.
my gosh, you guys got to meet each other.
Yeah.
I wrote her earlier when we had this the horseshoe crab story. I said, "Can you come on 10 minutes and talk about this?" And she said, "I don't know anything about them, but she knows all about wildlife, just like you." And so she said, call the wildlife people. Of course, we don't have time, but now you're here, so you it's kind of
Well,
weird.
I don't know that much about horseshoe crabs either.
No, I know, but you. It looks like you would be like she does. She teaches students over at Silver Springs. So you could get together and give a class on whatever it is you do and teach the. What grade does she normally teach? Do you know?
Fifth grade. She has the students in fifth grade.
Yeah, our primary purpose at the sanctuary is that we educate through online social media and things like that, as opposed to people coming in and seeing the animals like a zoo.
Right.
We educate through social media, and then our internship program, we take college interns with a zoology background, and we give them the information they need to do proper husbandry and learn how to care for these animals the most humane way possible and give them the best life they can give them, as opposed to the way zoos have always done it or the way places that you see on the roadside do it. They're not necessarily doing it right or doing it with the animal first. A lot of times they're doing it with making money first in line, and so we teach them how to do it with
Yeah, it's such a
animals
fascinating
first.
world you and your husband have. I just handed you a book. It's a book by Connie. That's how we know Connie, because she is also a writer, but her day job, as you might say. Although I think that book is probably going to. Hopefully, she doesn't leave what she does. She loves what she does, right?
Yeah.
But I think you and her would be a good partnership. Lisa Stoner is in the studio. We're talking about the forest animal rescue. And are you here so that we can help you in some way?
Yes.
What do we need?
We
What can we do?
We're in the final stretch. We've been working for 2 years to bring the red pandas from Argentina from the closed zoo.
Okay.
We're going to be the only sanctuary in the country to ever have red pandas. They're extremely rare. They're critically endangered. There's less than 10,000 left in the wild. Some estimate only 2,500, and their population is declining. So this is our opportunity to educate as many people as possible with the red pandas. What we're trying to do is build this beautiful enclosure for them, this big habitat. It's $80,000. We have it partially done, still raising money, and raising money for their care because, of course, they eat bamboo. We've been planting bamboo like crazy people,
Okay.
non-invasive bamboo.
Right.
Is it bamboo from Argentina, or can you plant the bamboo from here?
Well, the bamboo, all of the bamboo probably
a good
originated in
question.
China. So it's all
Oh,
the
I
same
see.
bamboo, and the red pandas are originally from China and the Himalayas.
Oh, okay.
So that's where most bamboo is native. But the clumping bamboo that we're planting, we're picking the ones that have the best nutrition, the right leaves, and they don't take over the forest. When we plant them in clumps, we can keep them where we put them. But then we also have secondary diet that will keep them on, in addition to the bamboo, in case we have a hard freeze or something and lose our bamboo crop. So anyhow, we need a lot of fundraising. We're planning on doing a webcam so we can have like a panda cam online for people to look, and we can.
Really?
Yeah, we really want to expand our education without making it a tourist attraction. So
Are you familiar with the EarthCam project?
I've heard of it.
Can you stick around after you're done with the interview? I'll show you something real quick on the interview. EarthCam is giving people an opportunity. Somebody like yourself, this is perfect for what they're trying to do. They'll put in the camera, they'll do everything.
Really?
And then you'll be 24 hours a day. I use it all the time. I look at the Michigan Snowman. I don't know how they got it. I don't know how they got the okay. But there's a few of them on here. And I think that would be perfect for you.
So when you are building the enclosure and you're putting in the bamboo, are you also going to make it kind of hilly, or do they, or have a cave? Do they live in caves? Do they live in trees?
They live in trees.
So you'll
and we
have other trees there?
Well, what we do is inside this enclosure, it is a massive oak tree, and we're doing a dome over the top of the oak tree so that the entire tree is enclosed. That's one of the reasons why it's so expensive. And of course, they'll have a small water feature because they like to drink by getting their paws wet, and things, so they need some water that moves. And then they'll need some, some chillers and some platforms because our summers are a little hotter than what they're used to. In Argentina, it's probably about the same as what they've grown up with.
Oh, okay.
But the wild red pandas need it cooler, so we're going to provide for that so that they can have everything they need.
Are you going to make artificial snow?
No. We'll the chillers are just, it would be like a platform that's a little bit cooler than the surrounding area.
Oh, okay.
So now I just handed you my phone.
I've seen that.
Have you seen
That's how I've heard of it, I think. Is that
yes, so that's EarthCam, and that's a company that is really, really good at. So that's a camera. What I'm showing Lisa is a picture of an eagle. And they have the camera always facing that nest. Always. It's just always there. If you ever go there, the eagle's not usually there, though. I'm surprised it's actually there. Usually when I look at it, there's nothing in the nest. Looks like there's two of them there right now. So you could have the same thing going on, like they had for that giraffe, April, that gave birth, remember?
Right.
Yes.
And that's what we want to do. We want to do that in our rehabilitation area for our black bear cubs.
Right.
So that because the cubs have no human contact, we obviously, even if people do come visit, nobody gets to go see the bear cubs that are going to be released. But we could do a bear cub cam, and then people can go onto the website and see the cubs. We could actually see the cubs more
Oh, my
that way.
gosh.
And then we can do a tiger cam where the tigers and the bears are swimming in their pools. We could put it on the pool and let them see the animal. So we have ideas for doing all kinds of webcams all over the sanctuary.
Your visit here today, I don't know, we don't, some of our listeners, money is part of what you need, right? So
Yeah,
we can
big
help
part.
you a little bit. Our listeners are usually really good with that stuff. But what Robert and I do, I mean, we've got some people, I think, that we can connect you with
That'd
that'll
be
make a
great.
big difference. Connie is a great resource, probably just to talk to the kids, and get the word out, get the Star Banner. The Star Banner came into the story of you guys, right?
Right.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
And so if anybody needs to know more, they can go to our website. Our website's
What is your website?
www.forestanimalrescue.org.
Okay.
It's FOREST, Animal Rescue.
And do they have names, or if they do have names, are you going to give them different names? Or
Well, they've had the same names for years. Their names are Luli and Juki.
okay,
So we're going to stick with those
You were
names.
in our news. In our news, we had that. I remember those names now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, when the pumas came from a different zoo, they'd been there for 15 years and they had never been named. So we had to name the cougar contest.
Did Bob Barker come and see you? What is this, Bob Barker?
Bob Barker is the one who started the ball rolling on the construction of our big animal care building.
Wow.
We have a big animal care building with a nice veterinary clinic and education center and restrooms and offices and
Look at this
everything
guy.
in it.
What's his name? Look,
really
That's
wonderful.
Scar. Scar's a
Scar.
spider monkey.
Oh,
Oh my
You can
God.
see pictures of all the animals. We're on Facebook. You can just search Forest Animal Rescue on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube.
So go to forestanimalrescue.org and you'll see the website. And if you want to help, it's easy. There's a donate now button. Okay, well we'll
And
do
there's a
that.
visit the sanctuary button if you want to be one of the 8 people a month to come through the sanctuary. You can
8 people a month.
8 people a month.
Okay, all right.
We do 2 tours, 4 people at a time in our Land Rover.
How much?
It's $50 a person.
Okay.
And it basically gives our donors a chance to see what we're doing with the money they give us. So it's a real chance for our donors to see that we do what we say we do. It's not.
Is there a picture
We're
of
not
the-
doing that to entertain people and for people to bring 20 kids because we just do 4 people in our Land Rover.
Are the red pandas? Oh, there they are right there.
Yep, the red pandas are on the website, but they're not at the sanctuary yet. Those pictures were taken in Argentina.
Oh, okay. That's the part I didn't realize. I thought this was at
yeah,
your place.
they're still a couple months out before we get the final U.S. Fish and Wildlife paperwork. They're an endangered species, so the paperwork, the permitting required to export them from Argentina and import them to the United States is tremendous.
did you go down there to see them firsthand, the red pandas?
We haven't been there to see them. We have some people that we work with that are in Argentina, and they've been there and sent us these pictures. And
Can you talk about the personality of the pandas?
I don't know that much about their personality. The red pandas in general, they're very secretive. They make
Secretive. I
very
like that.
secretive.
Okay.
They
right.
make a lot of vocalizations.
They do? Like
If
when?
anybody wants to see a great video, go on YouTube or
Yeah.
just on Google and search red panda startled by a rock or discovers a rock.
Oh,
Just put red panda.
Yeah,
and
discovered by a rock?
Or discovers a rock or startled by a rock. I'm sure it'll come up. It is a hysterical little short, like 2-minute video.
It's like the cats with the cucumbers?
Yeah, something like that.
Have you ever seen the cats
yeah,
with the
I've seen
cucumbers?
the cats with the cucumbers, yeah. It's pretty much the same concept. It's a red panda that apparently came out of his night house at some facility somewhere, and there was this new rock there, and it started.
Oh.
it
Or
startled
is this,
Oh, my.
is this it?
That's
right
it.
Here?
That's it.
All right, let's see. Or he
Oh, my.
Oh, look at him looking at the rock.
Oh, brand new rock.
What the heck is that he's saying?
Stands up on his hind legs and then he swats it.
Oh, that is the cutest thing, Robin. Look at that guy.
Oh, so you'll have
Now
to
he's going to
make,
get the rock.
oh, so you'll have to make sure everything's there before the pandas get in there.
Well,
to-
that's a startled reaction. It obviously didn't hurt him. He's over it already. It just
Yeah.
startled him. But yeah, everything.
So whenever there's something new in their environment,
they're very, very aware because they're like any other small animal. They're prey animals, so they're very aware of
so
anything.
when they come to you, aren't they going to be? Everything's going to be new.
Everything's going to be new. It's going to be quite an adjustment when they come to us.
And when they come over, are they going to be tranquilized like in a cage for a plane
They won't
flight,
be
or how is
tranquilized.
that?
They'll be in a carrier, in a an airline approved international animal carrier. They have to go through Miami and be inspected by U.S. Fish and Wildlife and Customs. There's a lot of inspections that have to take place for health and safety reasons, and import, export, all of that, international trade. And then the endangered species part, that's all there. Once all the licensing and everything's confirmed and everything's good, then we'll transport them to the sanctuary from Miami. We're going to pick them up ourselves in Miami.
In a truck or something?
In an air-conditioned truck, and then those crates will go right inside our truck, and then we'll take them, and those crates will go inside their enclosure, and then we can open up. We're going to start them out in a smaller enclosure so that
Wow,
they can become
this is
accustomed
exciting.
to the area and not be too terrified, and then if they have any health issues, they won't be way in the top of an oak tree.
Oh,
we can make
okay.
sure that they're okay. And then they'll go into the big enclosure from there with the oak tree and everything in it once we know they're healthy and acclimated.
And they'll be together then in the same carrier, so they have a...
I don't think legally we can take them together in the same carrier, but as soon as we get them to our sanctuary, they'll be put back together again.
And will they be quarantined when they come into the United States for X number of days?
We're going to be the quarantine.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll be quarantined.
Wow, you
Yeah,
guys-
This is
in that
pretty
smaller
amazing.
enclosure.
you
Yeah,
do
it's-
amazing work.
It's a quite the song and dance. To go
Lisa,
through
what is your
that.
husband's name?
His name is Kurt, K-U-R-T.
Lisa and Kurt Stoner. Correct? You have the same last name?
Yeah.
Thank you for what you do. This is so inspiring and such good stuff. So we want to make sure our listeners are kept up to date with what you're doing. So we'll kind of talk about it a little bit now and then. Okay, maybe there's something Robin and I can do also.
To help with your funding.
And our Facebook page and our website will have the most recent news on it, so you'll be up to speed that way too.
All right, very good. The website again is forestanimalrescue.org. Let's see. So your assignment is to meet with Connie, and and I want to show you something with a
I need to see EarthCam.
EarthCam. Yes,
I get that.
yes, because you fill out the forms. I don't know, and no idea where it goes from there, but hopefully they'll set you up with a camera, and I will be one of your regular followers, like I am with the Eagle and the Michigan Snowman. Lisa, thank you. That was fun.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Clouds and breaks of sunshine with a passing shower, mainly along the coast. The high 76 at the coast, 82 inland. Partly to mostly cloudy and mild Thursday night, low 60 to 64. For Friday, times of clouds and sunshine and warm with a high of 80 to 84. Saturday, partly sunny and warm, the high 81 to 85. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
The Florida RV Trade Association's Ocala RV Show. This is big. Come see huge selections of trailers and RVs with all of the bells and whistles. From cozy trailers to massive luxury RVs, you will not want to miss this. The sheer size of this RV show is enough to get you out here. And if not, there's concessions and booths too. Going on now through Sunday at the Florida Horse Park on Country Road. 9 to 5 on Saturday and 10 to 4 on Sunday. You won't want to miss this.
Veterans Helping Veterans USA. Call 352-433-2320. We help veterans and their families with limited financial assistance, counseling, employment referrals, and a food and clothing bank. You can help in making a huge difference in the veterans' lives we serve by donating food, clothing, household items, or direct financial assistance. All donations are tax deductible. Veterans Helping Veterans USA. 352-433-2320. Thank you for your attention, and God bless America.
With a graduate degree in management and leadership from Webster University, there'll never be a better time for you to explore what's next in your career. Classes are scheduled so you can continue your normal workday routine, and the accelerated program means a new term starts about every 10 weeks. If you're looking to gain a broad general management and leadership perspective, then Webster University's Management and Leadership degree program is the right one for you. It's all a part of what's next at Webster University.
Go to webster.edu/manage, accredited by ACBSP.
You know what all the smart garden shoppers are doing this time of the year? Well, first they check the bobwinescamelliagardens.net, or they go to the newspaper ad, and then they pick out this week's super special deals, prices that are truly too good to miss. Examples: super buy on night-sized geraniums, just $1.99. A buy one, get one free, yes, it's a BOGO, on frost-proof gardenias. And listen, a huge selection of blooming hanging baskets, dozens to choose from. Buy one and get one at half price. It's tree planting time. That means you buy one tree at Bob Wine's already super low prices and get another just like it for half price. And for heaven's sake, don't miss the Camellia Show Spectacular. We promise it's bigger and better than ever. Come feast your eyes now at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. New store hours till 4:30 daily, Saturdays till 3, in the same blooming place since 1952.
The Florida RV Trade Association's Ocala RV Show. This is big. Come see huge selections of trailers and RVs with all of the bells and whistles. From cozy trailers to massive luxury RVs, you will not want to miss this. The sheer size of this RV show is enough to get you out here. And if not, there's concessions and booths too. Going on now through Sunday at the Florida Horse Park on Country Road. 9 to 5 on Saturday and 10 to 4 on Sunday. You won't want to miss this.
Here are today's headlines from the source WOCA. A doctor with the Department of Veterans Affairs was shot in the neck when a patient in a wheelchair opened fire yesterday evening in the emergency room of a VA hospital in West Palm Beach. The suspect, 59-year-old Lawrence Bond, had been at West Palm Beach VA Medical Center since early in the morning and had been combative with employees all day long, according to Special Agent Michael D. Leverock with the FBI. He said Mr. Bond began shooting a pistol at about 6:20 p.m. while he was undergoing a psychological evaluation. Agent Leverock said the injured doctor, whose name was not released, was shot in the neck while trying to subdue Mr. Bond, who was a double amputee. Another hospital employee was grazed by a bullet, according to Agent Leverock. The doctor's injuries were not considered life-threatening. Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida is being investigated by the Florida bar over his tweet on Tuesday that appeared to threaten Michael Cohen. Brian Shook has those details.
A spokesperson for the Florida bar confirmed they've opened an investigation. Gaetz tweeted a message to Cohen that alleged he had affairs and suggested his wife might be unfaithful while he's in prison. It also ended by indicating the world was about to learn more about Cohen. Gaetz later deleted the tweet and apologized for it. Some complained the tweet could be viewed as witness tampering and intimidation.
Two Orlando lawmakers are pushing for cities and counties in the state to have more power, putting local rent controls in place to combat Florida's affordable housing crisis. State Representative Anna V. Escamani and Senator Victor Torres, both Democrats, filed companion bills, House Bill 6053 and Senate Bill 1390. The measure would repeal Florida's preemption on rent control, which is a form of price control that puts a cap on the amount a property owner can charge for rent or limits owners from increasing at a rate higher than a predetermined percentage. Florida law allows local governments to consider rent control only if there is a housing emergency that's so bad it's considered a serious menace to the general public, and that such controls are necessary and proper to eliminate such grave housing emergency. But even if local governments find that their housing crisis is a serious menace, state law only allows this rent control to exist for 1 year. It cannot be extended or renewed either. Local officials must vote again on a new rent control measure that meets the serious menace requirement. Cocoa Beach police have made an arrest in the disappearance and murder of a 31-year-old mother who went missing earlier this month. The suspect, Joshua Taylor, was already facing burglary and assault charges after they say he broke into Teshwan Jackson's home last year. Surveillance video shows Jackson at a 7-Eleven back on February 9th before she disappeared. Her family says walking away from her family was not something she would have done on her own.
And she's been a very attentive and present mother. She will never walk away and leave her children.
Volunteers and friends searched for Jackson for nearly a week after her disappearance.
Honestly, we're desperate at this point, so if we have to search every wooded area in Cocoa, in Brevard even, we'll do that.
Her body was found in Osceola County. Police say Jackson had given a deposition in the burglary case involving Taylor only 3 days before she went missing. The Florida Department of Agriculture says there has been an increase in reports of people stealing citrus crops from local farmers. The citrus crops are ripe and ready to pick this time of year, but not all of the picking is being done by the farmers that own those crops. Under Florida law, the act of stealing fruit usually includes 2 crimes being committed. The first is trespassing, which carries a 3rd-degree misdemeanor, and the second crime is called farm theft. The penalty varies depending on how much fruit is stolen. If you take fruit worth over $300, that's a 3rd-degree felony, which is grand theft. Lake County Sheriff's Office deputies say they take farm theft very seriously and will apply maximum penalties to those who break the law. Deputies in Broward County want to speak to a mother whose 11-year-old is captured on surveillance video setting fire to a chip rack inside a Pompano Beach food store. The owner says his quick-thinking butchers helped keep the fire from spreading.
The butchers helps a lot because they with the hoses, they started putting water in the fire, and we use like a fire extinguishers to take care of the fire.
The sheriff's office is investigating the incident. A teenager fell through a skylight at a Gainesville high school gymnasium and crashed onto a wrestling mat, shocking spectators as wrestlers were competing. The 19-year-old was taken to a hospital with serious injuries after he fell about 40 feet through the ceiling window. Alachua County Sheriff's Lieutenant Brett Rodenizer says the teen was among a group of at least 8 people who went to the roof during the match at Buchholz High School in Gainesville. County school spokeswoman Jackie Johnson says several people were arrested on trespassing charges, including some students. Rodenizer says they were on the roof to retrieve a cell phone that someone had thrown near the skylight. Deputies did not identify the teen who fell. Authorities say a Miami man brought what appeared to be a pipe bomb into a fast food restaurant. Miami-Dade Police Detective Argemes Colome said in a statement yesterday that bomb technicians determined the device held no explosive material. According to an arrest report, 47-year-old Luis Felipe Jaspe Jr. brought a metal pipe wrapped with black tape, a red cap, and battery wires into a restaurant on Tuesday. A witness told investigators Jaspe also had a metal box with electrical wires attached to it. The witness called police, who arrested Jaspe and evacuated the restaurant. The report said Jaspe told officers he used the device as a weapon of self-defense. Jaspe was charged with possessing a hoax bomb. Bail was set at $7,500. Jail records did not show whether he had an attorney. The Florida Chamber of Commerce has created a new think tank to tackle safety in schools and the workplace in Florida.
It's called the Institute for a Safer Florida, and Columbia County Sheriff Mark Hunter says their goal is better collaboration by law enforcement, educators, and mental health professionals.
And we welcome this. I can't say this enough. We welcome this. When we talk about community policing, this is going to be community policing on steroids.
Dr. Stacy Chambers at Florida State University says it's a chance to deal proactively with violence in schools or the workplace.
We got to get past reacting to a shooting and try to prevent them.
But they will not be talking about banning assault rifles or arming teachers. Guns are not on the agenda of the Institute for a Safer Florida. Rick Flagg, Tallahassee.
Fun Spot America has been named the official theme park for Florida Citrus Sports. The organizations, which made a joint announcement yesterday, have entered into a 5-year partnership, which also includes Florida Citrus Sports Bowl Games and Camping World Stadium in Orlando. Fun Spot will join 3 other companies, Advent Health, Massey Services, and SunPass, as a stadium partner. The stadium's Gate D will be decorated with Fun Spot branding. At Florida Citrus